This is my second video from Westwood Village Memorial Park. A link to part 1 is in the description of this video.
This is a sad one. Jennifer Syme. She was the girlfriend of actor Keanu Reeves. And she died in a car accident 15 months after the stillbirth of the baby she was expecting with Keanu Reeves. She was working as an assistant to film director David Lynch, and his film Mulholland Drive was dedicated to her. And David Lynch was actually a pallbearer in the funeral, as was Keanu Reeves. And it's also the grave of Ava Reeves, their stillborn daughter. Jennifer Syme was 28 when she died. Here's the cremation grave for Peggy Lee, singer and actress. Born in 1920, the most famous song was Fever. She was nominated many times for a Grammy Award, winning for a hit Is That All There Is.
The song Big Spender is usually associated with Shirley Bassey, but it was actually Peggy Lee who first recorded the song. She wrote the lyrics for 6 songs in the Disney animated film Lady and the Tramp in 1955. She also voiced 4 of the characters in the film: Peg, Darling, C and Am.
Despite poor health, she continued to perform into the 1990s, sometimes even in a wheelchair. And she died in 2002 at the age of 81. And next to Peggy Lee, it's another very big name, James Coburn. Just move these flowers, you can see. Star of the Magnificent Seven and The Great Escape. Often compared with Lee Marvin. He was the original choice for Hannibal Smith in the A-Team.
He was born in 1928 in Nebraska, but he grew up in Compton, California. It was in Compton that he learned martial arts from Bruce Lee's instructor, Ed Parker. He won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his role as Glenn Whitehouse in the film Affliction in 1997. He was a close friend of Steve McQueen, who was his co-star in several films.
He and Steve McQueen were pallbearers at Bruce Lee's funeral. In 1967 he was voted the 12th biggest star in Hollywood, and he died of a heart attack in 2002 at the age of 74. Now, I'm not entirely sure where the location of the grave is here, so I'm presuming it's actually under the bench here where his ashes are buried. The same with Peggy Lee. Okay, here we have Brian Keith, a film and television actor. Some of his films are The Young Philadelphians, 10 Who Dared and Family Affair. He took his own life by a gunshot in 1997 at his home in Malibu, and his death occurred 2 months after the death of his daughter Daisy, who also died by suicide, and her cremated remains are also here. Carl Dean Wilson, guitarist for the Beach Boys. He performed lead vocals on a number of their later hits, including Good Vibrations and God Only Knows. He was the youngest brother of bandmates Brian and Dennis. He was only 51 when he died of lung cancer in 1988. Next to Carl Wilson is the grave of Paul Gleason, actor, born in New Jersey in 1939, He starred in a number of films including Trading Places, Die Hard and The Breakfast Club, where he played the part of the high school vice principal. He also appeared in episodes of The A-Team, Dawson's Creek and one episode of Friends where he played Phoebe's boss. He died in 2006 from a form of lung cancer connected to asbestos. He is thought to have been exposed to asbestos whilst working with his father on building sites when he was younger. He was 67 years old when he died. Oh, this one's going to blow your mind. Roy Orbison, he's in an unmarked grave. His hits include Only the Lonely and Pretty Woman. Rolling Stone magazine placed him at number 37 on its list of the greatest artists of all time. He died on December the 6th, 1988 at his mother's house. The cause of death was a heart attack, and he was surprised by this. I always assumed that Roy Orbison was in his 70s when he died, but he was only 52. And his grave is just, if you find the grave of Frank Wright Tuttle, Roy Orbison's grave is right here. And Elvis held him in high regard, publicly stating that Roy had the perfect voice and referring to him as the greatest singer in the world. From what I've read, it wasn't his wish to be in an unmarked grave. Obviously at 52 he wasn't expecting to die, but there was a plan to put a black slab as a headstone here, but it never happened. Bob Crane had a starring role in the 60s TV series Hogan's Heroes, and he had a colourful private life, and he was murdered in his Arizona apartment in 1978. His friend John Carpenter was tried for the murder, but he was acquitted. He was originally buried in another cemetery that was moved here in 2003, and he's buried with his wife. The grave of Sage Stallone, the eldest son of Sylvester Stallone. He died in July 2012 of coronary heart disease. He was Rocky's son in Rocky V. Dorothy Stratten, she was a Playboy playmate who was murdered by her ex-boyfriend. If you want to pause the screen there, if you want to read it.
The Canadian model and actress rose to fame in 1980 when she became Playboy Playmate of the Year. Whilst in Los Angeles, she separated from her abusive husband, Paul Snyder. Snyder became obsessed with Stratton and hired a private detective to track her down. He lured her to his apartment on August 14th, 1980, under the pretext of discussing their divorce. He murdered her with a shotgun before turning the gun on himself. Dorothy Stratten was 20 years old.
Richard Anderson, one of the very few actors to play the same character on two different programs simultaneously. He played Oscar Goldman on both The $6 Million Man and The Bionic Woman. He served in the US Army during World War II and started his acting career in 1950. He starred in the second season of TV series Zorro in 1957, where he played the character Ricardo Dall'Amo, and he appeared in 23 episodes of Perry Mason in the 1960s as Police Lieutenant Stephen Drum. Anderson died of natural causes in 2017 at the age of 91. Here we have the grave of Minnie Riperton, best known for a 1975 song, Loving You. Soon afterwards she was diagnosed with breast cancer and given 6 months to live. Despite this, she continued to record and tour and lived another 3.5 years before dying on July 12, 1979 at the age of 31.
I mentioned Carl Wilson of the Beach Boys earlier. His father-in-law is also buried in Westwood Memorial Park. Dean Martin, the King of Cool, who died on December 25th, 1995. I've got a separate video about Dean Martin. The tomb of Marilyn Monroe is also located at Westwood Memorial Park. I've also got a separate video about Marilyn. I'll put a link in the description for both of those videos and also the first part of my Westwood video. If you like today's video, please consider subscribing. It's completely free to do so. And also if you comment on the video and give it a like, that helps me a lot. And also, this is my Instagram account. If you want to know what I'm up to, that's where you'll hear about it first. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.